The following program contains graphic material, including offensive language. Viewer discretion is advised.
Arizona, Kari Lake here. I wanted to reach out to you to let you know that I am still in this fight with you.
The negative ads, I think it's really... Negative ads on Trump? Oh my gosh, where's my husband? My husband's my second favorite man. I'm just putting it that way right now.
He's right up there right now, and his name is Governor Ron DeSantis. He is gutsy. The guy has bigger... Okay. Wait, let me think about how I want to word this. My staff always says, whatever you do, do not say balls. So I'm not going to say it. When we raised concerns, and I filed a lawsuit months ago to get rid of the electronic voting machines, they said we were crazy. Well, it turns out we were right.
Those were Kari Lake supporters protesting the fact that she lost the gubernatorial race to Katie Hobbs, the Democrat who was running. Less than 20 Kari Lake supporters turn out for state house protest against her Arizona governor election loss.
Less than 20 brain cells turned out.
Look,
the protest.
You know what? What you just witnessed, it's America. It's America.
Sure.
So their right to protest, I fully support it. You know, they weren't violent. They didn't do anything, you know, illegal or unruly. So much love. They have the right to protest, and I support that.
Are you ready?
Hey everybody, it's Jeff. Hope everybody's doing okay. Today, I'll tell you, it was cold out, but at the same time, I was sort of trapped in my apartment because the city crew out there was finishing their work on the road by putting in the sidewalk, and they had to fix part of the parking lot where they dug up the ground. So you know what I'm saying? When they were doing this, they had to repave it up to the street. So while they were doing that, nobody could leave. You know, in their vehicle. I mean, because they're parked down here, and they couldn't get out because they had that whole area just full of machines and equipment, so they couldn't get the hell out. So for about 3 or 4 hours, I mean, people were kind of stuck in their apartments and they couldn't go anywhere. And I'm thinking, well, you know, you see, that's because they don't have enough ways out of this apartment complex. That's the problem, okay? There is a way they could make a path if they would pave up to it, okay? And that's the other part of the problem, is we could get out of here doing the back way of it, where the dumpsters are. All they'd have to do is pave a small path up to the other buildings over there, and they could have easily got out that way, okay? But for some reason they didn't do that, and so people end up in this situation where they're stuck in their parking lots and they can't leave. Okay, so that sucked. All right, so people, you know, you have to understand, you know, when you build an apartment complex, you should have more than 1 or 2 ways out of that complex in case of road work like that, because people if they have to go to work, or if they work at nighttime or something, how are they going to get out? I had this problem when I lived at the other apartment complex. They were doing some street work, okay, and there was only one way into the apartment complex where I lived, okay, and it just so happened they dug a friggin' 8-foot trench in front of the driveway, and nobody could get out until they had filled it in and paved over. Well, that took the whole friggin' day. So if I had a job, I'd have had to call in sick or something like that, because I wouldn't have been able to get to work. So like I said, you got to have other exits out, okay, and you can't just leave people at the mercy of street crews and stuff like that when they're doing things. So anyway, so this shit in Arizona with Kari Lake is silly, okay. For lack of a better word, nothing comes to mind. It's silly because you got a woman who didn't win the governorship, and she won't accept the loss, as it was implied that she wouldn't, okay, and she has allies that are going to stand with her in this bullshit excuse, and one of those, of course, is Trump. And there's a story here from Ash and Peary that was written 2 hours ago, okay, and was written by, so it was written by Ash and Peary, and it's entitled, "Trump is the Center of Controversy Yet Again as He Demands Kari Lake Be Installed as Arizona Governor. 6 Arizona counties have until Monday to certify the midterm election results. Donald Trump is apparently not pleased with that, however, and insisted that Kari Lake be, quote, installed, unquote, as the governor. Arizona has reported 99% of the vote, leaving Kari Lake just 0.6% away from her opponent, Katie Hobbs. Hobbs was projected to win 2 weeks ago, but Lake has yet to concede. Republicans have been consistently insisting that there was foul play in the midterms. They claim that the fraud was made possible due to the fact that Hobbs is the Secretary of State and is therefore in charge of Arizona elections. Voting machines were also reported to be malfunctioning in Maricopa County, which only fanned the flames of the Republicans' claims. There are currently only 17,000 votes separating the two women. Kari Lake has also been an outspoken election denier, taking Trump's side on the matter of the 2020 election. She has also threatened to sue in Arizona because she believes the election was manipulated in her opponent's favor. In a Truth Social post on Monday morning, Trump declared, quote, "Massive numbers of broken voting machines in Republican districts on Election Day. Kari had to be taken to a Democrat area which was working perfectly to vote. Her opponent ran the election. This is yet another criminal voting operation, so obvious," unquote. Okay, let me say this here. Knowing what we know about Trump, and knowing what we know about Kari Lake and the things that she said when she was running for governor months ago and after, what makes anyone think that we can trust their assertions here about what they feel has happened in Arizona? Okay, why should we trust what they got to say? They're known liars, the both of them, especially Trump. And of course, Trump has been lying consistently since he lost the White House, and has continued to go on this rant without evidence about the election being stolen from him, okay? So why in bloody hell should any American at all sit back and say, oh, yeah, why should we believe that? I mean, you'd have to be a complete moron to take anything that Trump says at this point as fact, okay? Again, we ask for evidence. And so far, all we have is rhetoric. Okay, Kari Lake making accusations, Donald Trump making accusations, and again, there has been no evidence presented here that shows that 17,000 votes were manipulated somehow in this election in Arizona. Okay, that they lost by that much or more. And let's see some of these malfunctioning machines that they claim weren't working. Let's see that. Show us one of them, okay? Notice they don't name the company of the machines they're talking about because, as you know, Dominion is suing everybody who's slandered their company name during the presidential election the last time, okay? All the people that were out there accusing Dominion Voting Company, of being involved in a massive fraud, they're all being sued. Everybody. So, let's see the voting machine. Let's see the company here that owns these machines. Let's find out what they're really saying here, because obviously they're opening themselves up again to more slander by going around and saying this stuff. I feel like, sour grapes. I mean, talk about sour grape. Katie Hobbs. I mean, not Katie Hobbs, but, Carrie Lake. This is a woman who, every time you see her on TV, if it looks like they cover the lens with Vaseline or something, okay? I don't know if you notice that, but they put a filter between you as the audience and her on the TV, so that way she looks less, nasty. Okay, because if you see her without the filter, you'll notice that she's not quite as how can I say this, modelistic as they want you to think. Okay, so from the very start of this woman here, she's lying to people. Okay, she's even lying about how she looks. All right, and like I said, why should we believe a damn thing this woman says? Why should we believe a damn thing Trump says? Okay, they've got no, how can I say this, any credibility at all. It's stretched beyond belief. And we just can't fucking take their word for anything. Republicans can do what they want. If they want to take their word of a liar, fine. Go right ahead and do it. Knock yourself out. Okay, you'll get led right down the friggin' shithole once again. And that's where they'll go, okay? In the meantime, the rest of us are going to sit and wait and see if there's any validity to the claims. Okay, we're not going to discard any proof that might be shown to us, but we're going to evaluate all the evidence, if they provide any, accordingly. All right? So we're not going to be fooled by these people for a second, third, or fourth time. Okay, that's it. If they were telling the truth all along from the beginning, that, Trump lost honestly and stuff, and they were complaining, then maybe we could give some thought here to maybe they might have something going on down there, okay? But they've used up that chip, okay? They've used it up. They've beaten us over the head with their lies. They've abused their power, their authority. So we don't have any reason at all to trust them, what they got to say. Let's hear from authorities, all right? Let's hear the lawyers. Let's hear, the police or whatever the hell they got to go through to get this thing noticed. Let's listen to what they got to say. Let's see the evidence. Okay, let's see what they got for evidence. But the problem is that people in the GOP don't wait for that sort of thing. Okay, they take the accusations as fact when they hear it. They figure, well, they wouldn't be saying this if it wasn't true. Bullshit. You people go around saying that all Democrats are liars, right? Okay, that these people lie to you all the time. Well, why would you think that the Republican politicians don't lie to you all the fucking time? I mean, wouldn't one accusation be just as viable as the other? I mean, come on. Don't be so naive to think that only your party tells the truth and the other side doesn't. Okay? They're all politicians. They all have something to gain. They all have something to lose. Okay? And sometimes the truth is just an inconvenience, okay, for some of these people. And the Republicans have been known to find everything inconvenience because, they go around saying we hate America. We hate that. I mean, not the politicians, but the voters who support them go around hating this country in every friggin' way they can, And that's only because, of a, problem that they have personally, and they take it out on everybody. Okay? And so these people go around saying all these nasty things, all right? And yet we're supposed to believe that only their party tells the truth to them, okay? How many times has their own party cut their own throats? And they sit there and they clap and applaud for it. You know, how many veterans are in the Republican Party? And how many times have the Republicans abandoned them when push came to shove for them to get help from the government? You know, how many times? It's already happened at least twice this year, okay, for the veterans. Not a single Republican stood with them when they needed to have a money or a bill passed, so that way they can get cancer treatment for the burn pits that they were exposed to when they were in the desert. Okay, so right there, I mean, they don't care. It's only convenient for Republicans to support veterans when it helps them politically. Okay, when it doesn't matter to their agenda, whatever that may be, they'll throw them under the bus just like everybody else. And why Republicans don't see that and remember that, okay, I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, there has to be something else other than the party itself that lures these people to want to hook their lives on that falling wagon, okay, or on that falling or sinking ship. Okay, I don't understand why people want to kill themselves, you know, politically by being associated with them, but they're doing that. That's what they're doing. And it defies all logic, because as Democrats, we're constantly trying to explain to them, you know, these are the people you stand with. These are the people you're voting for. And look what they're doing to you, to us, to everybody in this country. They're making you so mad at America, okay, by extending the problems that you're fighting about, okay, that you don't realize that these people are the ones who started all this mess and are vested in interest in keeping it going for years to come. Because when there's problems in the country and strife, they like that, because that gives something for them to talk about instead of actually talking about fixing problems. Okay, they rather just pile on to what people are complaining about and just, you know, putting more gas on the fire. Okay, that's what they like to do. And when they talk about that and they get everybody agreeing with everything they're saying, you know, because people will agree with somebody that's talking about the things that they don't like. When somebody complains, yes. And for some reason, people think that these people are talking to them about solutions, and they're not. They're talking to them about the same things that go through their head every day about why they hate this country. But you won't hear any suggestion from these politicians about how we can undo all that. All they're saying is, we got to get rid of the Democrats. We got to get. Well, that's not a solution. That's just an agenda here that has no viability. Get rid of the Democrats doesn't mean your problems are solved. It just means now you're the one responsible to fix them. And if your party isn't interested in fixing the problems, then for Christ's sake, stop voting for them. You know, Jesus, listen to what people are saying. Listen to these people. You know, take your emotional blinder off and just listen to what these people are telling you. Okay? The hypocritical things that they say. I mean, you support some of these people because they say they take a stance against abortion. And here you find out that these people have supported abortion so many times in their life that, you know, they couldn't even hide it from people. But yet you still support them. Okay? And you know who I'm talking about, Herschel Walker here. I mean, these are people that you claim that you support because they believe in something you believe in, and yet behind your back they're doing everything that you don't believe in. So why do you support them? Why do you keep, pushing them? It's only because you want to have what we call a land grab in a political way. You want them to grab seats. I call that a land grab. They're trying to grab seats. They're trying to grab land in order to gain a majority, if they can, in the federal government. Okay, and once they got that piece of land, once they got that seat, okay, they're not going to give it away if they can help it. They're not going to lose it if they can help it. All right, but they certainly aren't going to be listening to you when they get in there. Okay, their ears now are shifting to party elites, to the upper echelons of the GOP. That's the ones that they're going to listen to, and they're the ones that are directing the ship as a whole. And they're the ones that are dragging you people through the mud as they sail on and on into whatever direction they want to take the whole country. And, you know, you people aren't going to cut your ropes to this ship until it's too fucking late. Okay? I mean, it's just, you know, when they have to use racist rhetoric, okay, to drum up support for an election, and they have to spread mud around everybody and just talk like friggin' fascists in order to gain your support. You got to look at yourself and say, well, why would you support that person? That's like supporting Adolf Hitler if he was in this country running for president. You know, why would you support that, knowing what you know about the guy? You know, and I'm not, you know, by saying that, I'm not being extreme here, because we do have people in this country who are neo-fascist Nazis or whatever the hell, and they got pictures of Hitler sitting on the walls. Now, these people would vote for that son of a bitch if he was alive today and he wanted to run for president. So when I say voting, you know, for someone that's like Hitler, I'm not being too extreme here, because that's a possibility that would happen if, if fantasies could be realized. But my point is we have people in America who think that way and are looking for people that are that way in order for them to cast their ballot. Now, that means these people like Kerry Lake, Donald Trump, DeSantis, these people can't get right-wing enough to grab their vote, okay? But they have dinner parties with people that are like that, okay? Like Nick Fuentes, okay? People that talk that kind of crappy Nazi shit that used to get spewed around back in the day, okay? So these people will not publicly admit that they are tied to these folks, but we know that they entertain them. They hang around them. Okay, we know that they do that. So, like I said, why would anybody in that party be stupid enough to fall for that and just say, okay, yeah, let's hand our country over to a group of people who will lead us into destruction, to war, because if this country ever turned that way, the rest of the world isn't going to sit still for that. Even if our country becomes like China, becomes like Russia, that doesn't mean they're going to be our allies. Okay, they'll still want to take the nation out, and if we sit by and plan our course accordingly to become like them, America as we know it would have died already, and physically the country will be decimated in not long after. Okay, because when you have a planet full of bullies, there's only going to be one bully allowed left standing. You know what I'm saying? Only one bully is going to be left standing in that kind of world. And when you're talking about China, Russia, and the United States, you're talking a global war that'll end everything. Okay. So let's go to a commercial break and be back.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me. This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
strawberry, blueberry, watermelon. New triple treat from Bubble Tape. 6 feet of gum, 6 feet of fun. New sour crystals. Better tasting Bubble Tape sours. 6 feet of gum, 6 feet of fun.
And Mike Pence calls his wife Karen Mother, and sometimes Mother. Mother does not allow Father to attend events with alcohol without her being present. Mother does not allow Father to have dinner with another woman. In fact, Mother does not allow Father to be alone in a room with another woman. Mother is an art teacher at Emmanuel Christian School, which requires employees to affirm in writing that they will not engage in homosexual sexual acts or have a transgender identity. Father's epic homophobia made him sign into law in Indiana the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, which encouraged and condoned the aggressive discrimination of gays and lesbians. Around the White House, Mother is known as the Bulldog and Father as the Pleaser. Father was placed in charge of the coronavirus response on February 26th. The 5 months that followed, more than 170,000 Americans have died. Mother and Father both oppose gay marriage. In interviews, Father obsessively praises Trump's broad shoulders, and cameras have repeatedly caught him looking at Trump like Cinderella. Some senators call Pence Trump's fourth wife. An official from the Reagan administration said, "I'd like my wife to look at me just for one day the way Mike Pence looks at President Trump every day they're together." Father wrote about how disgusted he was with the Republican Party because they allowed HIV-positive people to speak at the 1996 convention. Father supported the use of federal funding to treat people, quote, seeking to change their sexual behavior, unquote, otherwise known as gay conversion therapy. Father praises himself as an uber Christian, but was caught stealing campaign donations for his first congressional race and used the money to pay his mortgage, credit card bills, and even fees for golf tournaments. Meet Mike and Karen, Father and Mother. They're just weird AF.
A boy's best friend is his mother.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it. Write for Pollution Booklet, Box 1771, Radio City Station, New York.
My mom is Kellyanne Conway. She works for Donald Trump.
These children are handed over to HHS so that they can be put into facilities.
I think my mom is like a sociopath.
And this is going to sound harsh, but it sounds like you're holding these kids hostage.
My dad physically abused me a lot right here in this very room. My mom, the same thing with my mom. You know, she's very, very physically abusive. Very, very, very abusive. I figured I had to come on here and talk about this because this is like insane.
The most traumatic thing to do to a kid, separate them from their parents once they've made that traumatic journey.
I have all these issues because of my parents and what they did to me.
When you're separating kids on the border, Kellyanne,
no, don't go back to that every time you... And like, my life has been up ever since. My mental health is at an all-time low right now.
And if people really cared about them, we would figure out a way to get the funding to expand the centers.
People like this shouldn't be allowed to have kids. They shouldn't be allowed to work be one of the most powerful women in the world.
Are the kids who crying on the tape, are they the ones that caused your problem?
How dare he? I don't have a problem. This
You've got a
country
big
has a
problem with this policy.
My mom should have never had her position in the first place.
How dare you try to
How
say
dare I
this
what?
about
State facts?
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it. It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. So, I guess you've all heard about the big protests that went on in China. We have people, in the press that's been covering a lot of it. If you go on YouTube, you're going to find a lot of people who recorded videos of these protests at various times, and they've managed to get their videos up on YouTube. I mean, because in China, they kind of control what kind of material is broadcast out, into the world, as it were. They have ways of, stopping the transmission or whatever, but they can't get it all, I guess. So some of it has been sent out. And there's some people now. You'd have to watch some of the news on YouTube, some of the news sites that you don't see here in the States. Some like in Britain or something like that. You actually had people on the ground, reporters or something like that, recording some of the stuff. And so you have people who witnessed these protests and then came back to England, and then they reported it on the news. And they said, it's pretty widespread. Basically all the major cities in China. And, from what I saw, and this is, from my point of view, I remember watching video of people in Shanghai who were stuck in their apartments because they have this zero policy on COVID, which means in order for them, in their mind, to stop COVID is to keep people from mingling, together, to stop it from spreading. Okay, that's the extreme way, and that's the way they've been doing this, handling COVID here all this time. So they lock everybody in their apartments, in their homes, bar and weld the doors shut so they can't get out, and they're left in there, which means how are they supposed to get food? How are they supposed to do anything? They can't. So a lot of people starved to death during this period in their own homes, and they didn't give two shits about it. They just dragged the bodies out and disposed of them. In the meantime, the rest were, hanging by a thread as to how long they're going to stay in there. And I remember somebody had recorded a video in, I guess it was in Shanghai, in some area where that's all apartments, and people were screaming out the windows for help because they needed food, they needed things, okay? They needed to, medicine or whatnot, okay? They weren't getting it, and the government officials were there listening and not doing a fucking thing. Okay, and so once they were allowed out, okay, as which I don't know when they did that, but once they allowed these people out of their apartments, they took to the streets. They took to the streets, and who could blame them? Okay, these people were fed up. They were treated like cattle. And now they're like, they want the guy in charge over there to step down. They want him out. Okay, they're screaming. They want freedoms. They're out on the street. They're charging on the. I call them the police, but I don't think that's what they are. They're government people that are out there controlling the crowd. And they've been arresting thousands. Okay, and whatever happens to them happens. I don't know if they're killed on the spot or what happens to these folks. But if you're arrested, you're probably never going to be seen again, as it were. So anyway, these people are being picked up, in these various protests, and it wasn't making the other protesters leave in fear that they would be the next ones that they would be, taken into custody. Okay. So that means these people were really, really incensed here, okay? No matter how the media in the States wants to portray this, okay? Because what we're getting here in the States is that, it was just a weekend thing, and it was only sporadic and all. Now, bullshit. It wasn't anything like that at all. I mean, if you listen to the reports that come out from the other countries, like in England, okay, or in Australia, people who risked going there and they recorded all this, from their point of view, this was no small thing, okay? The last time the citizens uprised like this in China was was it back in the 80s or something? Was it Tiananmen Square? Okay. Remember the guy that was standing in front of a tank, okay, and trying to stop the tank from going? That was the last time that something like this happened, okay? And they're saying that this is even bigger than that. This is even bigger than that because this is happening across the country, all right? More so on the west side of China, okay? The other side is like sparse or whatever, but it's happening a lot on the western side of China, and it's given the government concern over there enough that they're sending out people to, go after certain individuals in the protests to try and suppress this. And it's got them worried that, about people making recordings and sending it out, that they're trying to stop anything from being recorded and sent out, taking away technology or whatever, phones or cameras or whatnot. Okay, it's looking bad for China in a time when China is trying to build up, military and stuff like that for whatever plans they have for the Pacific. And it seems like it's all falling apart. And so the idea that the press in the United States isn't too concerned about what happened over there because they figure, well, China's just going to squash this thing. And they just might. I mean, they might. But right now, the level of anger in that country from the people after how they were treated so far, it's... these people are not happy, and they're looking for blood. Okay, they really do. They're pissed off. And like I said, who could blame them? I mean, if the same thing happened here in the States, and finally they open the doors and let us out, do you think that we'd be a happy camper? You put yourself in what they went through over there, and I tell you right now, you wouldn't walk out of there saying, "Oh, this is just a weekend protest," and all that. These people actually are going after some of these cops here, whatever they are, and fighting back, pushing back on them when they're trying to arrest people. So it's bad. It's pretty bad because they never had the balls to do shit like that before, and now they do because they are so pissed because of how many people died in their own homes because they wouldn't be let out to get food. They just starved to death right in their own buildings, and the people didn't care. The government didn't care. So what do you do when you got a government that's like that? When you experience this thing firsthand, you see your neighbor die or something, or you're starving, okay, your anger is not going to, you can't minimize the anger that you're going to have, okay? You can't say that whatever protests are happening isn't going to last. Bullshit. Some of these people are going to go all the way, in this protest, and if that means to their death, that's what it means. But these people are not going to back down, all right? And they're looking for a head to roll over this, and they're going right to the top, all right? And so, you see, and people are saying that the what's his name there, the Xi or whatever, he overstepped himself when he did what he did to that country by dealing with COVID the way he did, and it's coming back to bite him in the ass now, okay? Because the people aren't going to let him walk away from this like that. And you got, you have tanks out there right now on the streets of China trying to push back the protesters, okay? So it's getting nasty, and when they start bringing out muscle, these people are going to start to get more violent too, in any way they can. But this is not something that that we can in the United States say, oh, this was just a weekend thing and it only happened here and here. No. It's still going on. This has been going on for days, not just a weekend. This has been going on for over a week now. The protests. We're just now starting to get the information from what's been going on there, because it ain't so easy to get a read on what happens in China at any given time. Okay, so the information we're getting is probably, maybe 24 hours or more old. Okay, because to get video feed out of there, to get a story out of there, it takes a while, because it's they're blocking communications out of their country. So video is being recorded, and it has to physically be taken to wherever it has to be taken to get broadcast out of China. What I'm saying is someplace out of China to get broadcast, like maybe in a neighboring country somewhere, okay, to broadcast this shit. But I'm just out of curiosity looking at the headlines here for right now at this moment, and China is putting out this propaganda that we have a decline in coronavirus infections because of our drastic way of handling things. So that's supposed to make these people feel good that you practically murdered thousands of people by not giving them food and stuff, locking them up in their apartments. But the virus didn't kill as many, but yet the Chinese government killed more in order to get that whatever. And how do we even know that that's even true? I mean, they could be just lying just to try to shut these people up. And another thing is China's security apparatus swings into action to smother COVID probe. Of course they are. They were already swung into action days ago. So there's intimidation, surveillance. China tries to snuff out protests. That's from the New York Times. It's just you have, like I said, a big situation over there, and I don't understand why so many in the press want to downplay it as nothing, because it's something, and it's unprecedented. We haven't seen anything like that, except for that one time. But even then, I mean, that was smaller compared to what's happening now, because this is not in just one area. This is all across China in the major cities. So, oh boy, it's a mess. I don't know how that's going to end, but it's probably not going to be nice. I can tell you that. Okay, and there's this other thing going on here that's really getting a lot of attention, and that's the train union. Okay, they're getting mad at President Biden for him asking Congress to avert a strike here. And there's an article here, and this is from the Washington Times, written by Dave Boyer, and it says the nation's third largest railroad worker union on Tuesday said it is, quote unquote, deeply disappointed in President Biden's call for Congress to prevent a freight rail strike, saying the move could result in Democrats siding with, quote, robber baron railroads, unquote, instead of supporting the union households. The Brotherhood of Maintenance of Way Employees Division of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters said the move by Mr. Biden, who bills himself as the most pro-union president in history, could force unions to work under a new agreement that does not include paid sick days. Quote, it both denies railroad workers their right to strike while also denying them of the benefit they would likely otherwise obtain if they were not denied their right to strike, unquote. The union said of Mr. Biden's move, quote, it is not enough to share workers' concerns, unquote. The president facing a rail strike next week that could cost the U.S. economy about $2 billion a day urged Congress on Monday to pass legislation to impose the terms of a tentative labor agreement ratified by some of the dozen railroad unions. But 4 of the unions have rejected the contract, and a walkout by any of the labor unions would be honored by all of them, idling more than 100,000 workers. Speaker Nancy Pelosi said the Democrat-controlled House will vote this week on legislation to impose the rail agreement. Some Democrats predict the Senate will follow suit. The unpopular move could then result in a rift between Democrats' labor base heading into 2024 presidential election. BMWED urged Mr. Biden, quote, and any member of Congress that truly supports the working class, unquote, to ensure that regulations provide paid sick leave for all railroad workers. Paid sick leave has been a major sticking point in the negotiations. The agreement would give union members an immediate 14% raise with back pay dating to 2020. It also would provide raises totaling 24% during the 5-year contract through 2024 and cash bonuses of $1,000 a year. So I was surprised to hear that these people did not get paid. They have to work when they're sick, okay? And I was like, what kind of company does that? You know, I mean, people get sick all the time. And yet, you know, other companies, people allow them to call in sick and say, I can't make it today. And then in a world now where we're fighting pandemics, you know, that would be the smart thing to do, is to say, okay, stay home, get better, and come back when you're better, okay? Because you don't want to spread it to the rest of the workers, right? So why is it that, you know, these people don't have that? Why all this time and now all of a sudden they want to do this strike because of it? I don't understand why this, you know, I mean, I don't recall them ever having a problem before now about not being able to have sick days, okay? Also, that makes me think that maybe there's not enough people who work in the rail industry. Maybe they need to hire more people to run, you know, do the work. Okay, and it's probably, like everything else in this country, been decimated by the pandemic. I mean, right here in my own hometown here, I mean, it's just, I remember I was telling you how they were asking people to come in to drive our buses, to drive our city vehicles and stuff like that, because we are understaffed, terribly understaffed. And they're trying to say that, don't worry about if you don't have any experience, we'll train you on the job, basically, so you can get your license. That's how desperate they are to get bus drivers and all that stuff around here. So this has to be a problem that's affecting, you know, everywhere, different things. That's why there's inflation. That's why prices are high on things, is because the supply chain is very weak right now. There's not enough out there. We took a hell of a hit on our population from the pandemic. That's weakened, you know, the way that we do things, our supply chain. So everybody is understaffed. And, you know, when you drive around town to go shopping and you see all these help wanted signs, even in that part of our economy, it's understaffed, okay? If you've been trying to get food at a fast food joint and you're sitting in line forever, understaffed, okay? That's why it's taken so long. You get very few people doing the job. And so right now, with this railroad thing, I think, you know, one of the things that they need to do is they need to put come work for us, you know, try to get some people, sign people up to work for, you know, at the railroad thing, so that way it wouldn't matter if they got paid, if they had sick days, okay? So it wouldn't affect anything. If these people, you know, got sick and they had to stay home, there's somebody to back you up. That's what they need. Instead of forcing them to work and being sick. You know, that's really sad that they got to do that. Then when you look at this problem from the president's side, you can understand why he's taking this position here. It's because right now, where our economy depends so much on keeping the supply chain going as it is, okay, even it's weakened as it is, a break anywhere in that chain, if they decide to stop and just walk off, that would destroy any progress that Biden has made in the economy up to now. Okay, it just can't happen. We can't allow that to happen. Even if he has to get what they call scab labor to go in there and take these people's places, the economy has to keep moving. That's the lifeblood of the country. When that stops, we got problems going into next year, big problems. And you know the Republicans are going to be right there to pounce on it, trying to divert your attention away from the fact that, you know, the president's back is up against the wall here, okay, and he'd like to take the side of the union, but now isn't the time, because, you know, he's trying to get the train, so to speak, to keep it going in our country, the train being the country. And you know, if they derail, if they pull the rails out from in front of the train, that's it. You know, how are we supposed to keep going? You know, the train is responsible for a great deal of the movement of merchandise and stuff in this country from place to place. You know, it's a big thing, okay? And we can't have you know, a block like that. You know, it would affect everything. So Biden's worried, yeah, and and I'm sure he's worried that the unions are going to turn on him if he forces them to agree to what they're, you know, like I said in the thing. So if he does that, yeah, it's going to backlash on him, okay? But that only means the unions are not stepping back and looking at this thing from his point of view and understanding, look, we're crucial workers here. Okay, it's no different than if you were serving on a ship that's a skeleton crew and somebody, you know, decides they can't work. Okay, you know, that's just going to put an incredible strain on everybody else to make up for this person not doing their part. Okay, so even if they show up sick, it's still better than them not showing up at all. That's what, you know, that's the way you look at it here. Okay, so it's like, you know, you have to look at this problem from the president's point of view. He's trying to get the economy going to keep the country strong, okay? And it's been a hard fucking uphill battle thanks to the Republicans who've tried to stand in his way every fucking way they can, okay? Because they have no interest in seeing him win another term as president. So they, right now, they're hoping that this happens, because if they can get the unions to turn against Biden, well, hell, that's like half his goddamn base right there. You know, if they don't show up to vote, you know, so you'll be looking at another lunatic Republican Party. But here's the thing. These companies have a choice here in this day and age of, you know, in a crunch, they could automate some of these trains, okay? They really could. We have the technology to do that. I mean, they're doing that in some places already in the world, automating things like that. If the problem about workers and all that is becoming that big of a problem, they could conceivably do that to the trains themselves, and there'd be not a damn thing they could do about it. This isn't the time for unions to start making demands. Well, I was going to say it's not the time. It is the time to make demands. I mean, when you have a staff to get workers' rights, okay, I'm going to say that. But it's not the time to do this when you're a key factor in this country's ability to keep the engine of America running until we can get back on our feet again, okay? If they waited, like I said, so long to bring this up, why did they wait so long? If these people have been forced to work when they were sick, they should have said something about this way, way, way back, okay, and said, look, we can't do that. This is not the way you treat employees. I mean, everybody else that works for, you know, Apple or IBM or you know, a bank or whatever, these people can get days off, okay, and still have a job when they're feeling better again. You know, why are we being forced to work through our sicknesses on these damn trains? Okay, what's the problem with that? Why is that okay with you people? You know, so why didn't they say something about this beforehand? You know, why did they wait until just now to do this? So I have a little bit of suspicion about the timing of all this happening. Because to me, that sounds, I mean, look, if I was working at a job and they said, you can't be sick and not come in, my first reaction is, really? Goodbye. I ain't working I'm not no slave labor. I'm not going to be treated like that in any job. If I'm sick, my health is going to come first, because without my health, you don't have an employee anyway. So if I'm not, if I'm sick and everybody gets sick, I'm not going to come to work like that. I mean, the chances of me screwing up on the job escalate because I'm delirious, from pneumonia or something like that, and I'm putting other people around me at risk for getting sick too. So then half your workforce will be fucking down. So what the hell? How intelligent is that? Okay, so that's why I'm saying, this is a problem that should have been dealt with a long time back, but no, they waited till just now to do this. And like I said, it's right after the midterms, and all of a sudden, bang, the unions, are having issues. And so I'm thinking, my thoughts are there's something up here. Is this politically motivated, to get the unions to do this or something? I don't know what this is, but it seems an pretty convenient time to have this happen during, just after the midterms and now right before Christmas, to see this happening. All right, because people will never forget that. Just like we'll never forget about how Ronald Reagan treated the air traffic control union, while he was president. We won't forget that either. And this will be a stain on Biden's presidency long after he's dead and buried. Okay, about how he treated the unions here. Okay, but what will get lost in the recollection of that is that Biden's back is up against the wall here, because he's responsible for keeping the country going, and any little break in the supply chain is going to crush the economy here. We could be looking at another recession or even worse by next year. And, if that doesn't destroy presidency, I don't know what will. Okay, so he's got a vested interest, in keeping this thing going, even if that means stepping on the people that supported him. He's going to have to do something. He's got to do something about that, and it's this is a real unpopular thing that could happen here. And like I said, because the Republicans didn't get their red wave, I feel like something's amok here. Something has happened to start this shit, and that's okay, so one more thing here before I go away. This is local news, and this is from WGME Portland. A story by Ariana St. Pierre. This was written 6 hours ago. Entitled, "All Maine BMV branches only open for scheduled appointments following serious threat." The 13 Maine Bureau of Motor Vehicles branches around Maine will only be open to scheduled appointments for the remainder of Tuesday following a serious threat. Officials say the serious threat against BMV branch offices was potentially from an aggrieved customer. Quote, "As our enforcement division works to resolve the threat against branches, and out of abundance of caution, branch offices will only be open for previously scheduled appointments for the rest of the day," said Secretary of State Sheena Bellows. Quote, Our branch office staff will continue to provide service to those customers until we're able to reopen fully to the public," unquote. Quote, "As our enforcement division works to resolve the threat against branches and out of an abundance of caution." Okay, let's see here. So they don't specify what the threat is, but it popped up on my recommended reading, local news here. So that happened. And there's a Maine kindergarten teacher who is accused of assaulting a student. It's an old man. Oh, he looks like an old man, but he ain't. He's just 52 years old. But this teacher is in Bucksport, been accused of assaulting a 5-year-old. They arrested 52-year-old Christian Colble of Stockton Springs for allegedly assaulting a 5-year-old who was in the RSU 25 school system. Let's see. The assault took place on October the 20th, but police told WVII they did not receive a report about the incident until November the 21st. And he was a kindergarten teacher at G.H. Jewett School in Bucksport. He's been released on bail. He's been on administrative leave since October the 28th, and they don't say what kind of assault it was, so I don't know, there seems to be a lot of these kind of things happening here, you know, in Maine lately, as of late, you know, these people freaking out and doing nasty shit, you know, so I don't know what that's all about. Okay, anyway, that's it. So if you have anything you want to say or add or anything like that on the videos, please subscribe and then comment. And I hope everybody keeps their ears open to COVID-19 news in your area. I guess in some places, you know, the threat is still there. There's people dying every day from it still. And so keep yourself notified about it. And it doesn't hurt to wear a mask, you know, when you go places, especially now where everybody's out there in mass, you know, filling up the stores and all that with, you know, shopping. So, you know, just be aware of that. And I hope everybody has a great rest of the week and treat each other well as we approach Christmas. We got to do something about our attitude to one another, because it's really getting nasty out there, as you can see from the shootings and things like that. You know, people are just, I don't know what's happening, but it's time that we need to put some love back out there to counter the anger that's out there. So I'll talk to you all later. Take care.